Hello there. As I did Linda Bear before, why not this one? The one what launched her career. That being The Exorcist. That's right, The Exorcist. That starring the late Leo C. Festo, can't remember his flipping name, but you might remember him. Played the villain in Fast Jordan. Been in a lot of films. Vince Vitento, who's, as we know, is sadly no longer with us. And Linda Blair make her first role. I would think at the time was only about 12 or 13, so it's quite a ballsy, risky film when you think about it. As you know, it was based on a book, and some people say the book was a true story based on a real incident. The only difference is in the book, it was a little boy. The film was inspired by a true story, I should say, and it was a boy who was supposed to be possessed. Whether it was Satan or it was some other possession, nobody knows. But it was it was a session. It's not been done for so many senses. They exorcised the evil spirit out of a young lad. What inspired them to make the book, and then inspired them to make the film version. That's right. It inspired them to make the film version. Now there's a lot of history on The Exorcist. Like the director, who was famous for doing the American connection. That's right. Not the American Dirt, the Fence connection. If you ever remember the Fence connection, well, the same director, as we know, doing us The Exorcist. And little bits in here he altered from the book to the film, but you know, the rest is history. Now a lot of the actors had problems working with him because he was one of them who wanted to try and get people off with fear. That's how he motivated his actors. He used a shotgun, fired it loads of times to shit up the actors. He did all sorts to frighten the actors, but I think it rubbed off in this way. It rubbed off, and the film The Exorcist, as we also know, does have a lot of history. And one of the history is this, right? My mum, her job where she used to work, she used to finish home, right? And it was not far from the cinema. This was obviously the same day when The Exorcist come out in 1973. And she went home from her work, and every time she walked home, there was either people throwing up, getting rushed to hospital, or becoming physically ill after watching The Exorcist. So a lot of people went to see it in the theatre police was either ill watching The Exorcist. Now I do know that in 82 it come out on video, but then not that long after border censorship started to censor, you know, video nasties and all that. Even though The Exorcist isn't a nasty, it got banned in the UK for some days, and the only way you could see it was on theatrical police. But happy to say, in the late 90s, when they were celebrating the anniversary of The Exorcist, they managed to put it back out on video, remastered and uncut. That's right, uncut. Because I think originally some of the scenes were cut down. Some of the bad language, what Linda Bear, even though it weren't her voice, used, were cut. That's right, they were cut. Now where can we go with the film? You got it at first with Fantasito. He's got his name now. He's a priest, and he's in, I think he's in Egypt, or Tyro. Could be Tyro, actually. And he's digging up into tombs, and, you know, he's digging for diamonds and things like that. And he goes to a priest, and he senses something evil is going to happen. He senses it, right? Then he cuts a couple of months later with a mum and a daughter, that being a very young Linda Blair. Weird things happen at first, like she goes downstairs and she reads herself, and there's a bit where the bed starts shaking, and then the daughter starts acting weird, you know, she's swearing a lot and so on. And then as the film goes on, you get the idea she's about to become possessed. There's little bits at first where you don't know that. She takes her daughter to a doctor, she takes her to surgeons, to do all these really remaining operations. There's a bit with the ramming an eagle in her neck, you know, really do feel sorry for Linda Blair's character. And some of the things she went through in this film, for a girl who was about 12 or 13, that's how old Linda Blair was. Granted, they did double voice with her oldie lady, who was a well-known actress. She smoked a lot of fags, and she did some of the, you know, bad language. And they had two male actors read the lines, you know, they swore a lot, and they did those. But there are bits where Linda Blair did actually swear. And one of the producers was like that. You know what I mean? For a long day to effing death and use sexual swear words, definitely not nice to hear. But he did actually ask her, said, how do you feel when you're saying these words to Linda Bear? Because she didn't look like the little girl that would have a lollipop. And she said, it's not me that's saying it, it's Raiden, you know, a character. And I mean, I can respect her for that. So she's a good little actress even back then. So like I say, you find out she gets possessed. There's a bit in it where she's swearing, fuck me, in the bit where, you know, she apparently slaps her mum, which again was done by a professional stunt woman. So the bits where you see the mum get slapped, that was a stunt woman. Bits where she folds herself on the bed, again, a stunt woman. So as you can see a lot of biographies, there's a lot of interesting biographies about the film. But The Exorcist, I respect it. I respect it because it's done by practical effects. I say it again, done by practical effects. Now, I do know over the years there have been a lot of imitations. I know there was a lot of sequels to The Exorcist, and there's a lot of imitations. But nowadays, it's boo-hoo, it's jump scares, it's down the stair, and it's a CGI piece of shit. The Exorcist was practical. The jump scares were done professionally. They weren't like every 2 minutes that you could make a bloody drinking game out of, and like nowadays. It was done professional and it had a good story to it. So, you know, you got the idea that the daughter's possessed. And she meets a priest, right? And I do remember the priest, the actor, getting peed off because the director was shooting shotguns every 2 minutes and trying to stimulate and fighting the actors. So he got peed off with it. But let's not forget the scene with the masturbation scene, very disturbing scene. But there's a scene where she's got the toss, which was cut originally. And Linda Bear never knew anything about masturbation. She was only a kid, come on. Right, so she was only a kid. And got the scene with the cost and seeing the lines, which I'm not going to say, but it's a set of swear words. It's something to do with religion. And, you know, masturbating with a cost. But that scene had to be the most frightening scene I've ever seen. The head syphils round. Everyone remembers the scene with the head syphils round. That's the scene. Which I do believe they used a puppet, like a rat's work dummy, where the head moved around. The funny story was, the director had that dummy head in a taxi that kept spinning around like that, and the taxi driver, I should say, stopped the taxi, said, right, the taxi's for free, get out. That thing is freaking me out. So I thought that was like a funny little story. But yeah, the head syphils round. You've got a scene again where she's using a religious swear word, which I'm not going to say everyone's religion, I don't want to upset people. But she says the C word, which is a swear word. And there's definitely a lot of bad language in it. It's definitely, but it's a powerful film. The Exorcist, it's a powerful film. Now, you know what I mean? I watched other films like Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched slasher films. I watched films with blood and gore over the years. I mean, so I wouldn't want to be scared. I mean, I knew it's all special effects. What I'm watching isn't real. But The Exorcist did something to me. And like most other films, I've got to admit, when I finally got to see The Exorcist, it did something to me what no other films ever done. And I don't know what it did, but for some reason I couldn't go to sleep. I wasn't scared, but I could not sleep after watching The Exorcist. Unlike most people saw it in the day and they was throwing up and they was physically sick. Didn't do that to me, but it did something what no other film has ever done. But such a powerful film. It is a brilliant, brilliant film. Francis Cito and the other priest, as we all know if you've ever seen the film, tried to exorcise the evil spirit out of Raiden, again by a young Linda Bear. Got a bad language in it, but she's pulling her tongue out, blah, 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 like that. And they managed to get it out. Francis Cito, as you've seen the film, has a heart attack, dies. The other one says, you son of a bitch, take me! Somehow you got the idea he's been possessed. He's about to attack Raiden. Obviously he's not going to attack a girl, so he takes his own life, you know. Self-sacrifices himself, throws himself out of a window. Which again I know was done by a proper stuntman who literally threw himself down the stairs. Someone asked, how did you do it? And he said, just mind over matter. Again, the like prototypes, there's a lot of history, right? People say it's a true film. One of the damn men's wife, who was going to have a baby, lost a baby. One of the actors who's in the film, who apparently gets mentioned who got killed in the film, did actually die in real life. So there was a lot of deaths and a lot of things. What happened, some of the set got burnt for no reason. We're filming The Exorcist. I mean, you can look that up in any book, but there was a lot of history. I mean, people said, oh, it's an unlucky film and all this, but I'm like that with most films. But I've got to admit, like I just said, the Exorcist, it did something to me, but no other horror film, believe it or not, has ever done. It's literally did something to me, and it doesn't disturb me. I can watch the Exorcist now. Now, I did originally have two versions. I had the one with had the spider walk. People don't know what that is. It's a deleted scene where Linda Bear's walking like a spider. But apparently it wasn't her. It was lost footage. But there is footage. If you look on YouTube, it does show the original scene where she sticks her tongue out and Linda Bear's doing a spider walk. But I don't like the scene how it is. You know, it's scary. There was deleted scenes, an altered ending and all that. I've seen original trailers, and you know, it was there since I saw The Exorcist. You know, when I got to see it, it was like the late 90s. It was an early 70s film, 1973. And like I say, it did a lot of other sequels. But The Exorcist, I can definitely see why it's a memorable horror film. It's not just an horror film. It's a very carefully made film. It's a very carefully made film. You know what I mean? It's scary, but it's powerful. It hits you. It hits you. And I love it. I love the performance by Linda Bear. You know, I love the fact that they dubbed the voice in certain scenes. And the devil. You know, it's really, really scary. It was practical effects, something you're never going to see nowadays in any bloody horror film. I mean, I've seen the thingy one, and there's little bits here and there with the CGI tucks up, but I prefer it practical. You know, I mean, I'm like that. I like the old special effects, and the fact that they did that. The fact that they had Linda Bear wearing a nightie, they put her in a set, made like a bloody fid, so the other actors are blowing real smoke, this was CGI, and she's wearing a bloody nightie, this little fucking 13-year-old girl. But I like The Exorcist. You know, it made a lot of sequels, made a name for Linda Bear. It's a powerful film, especially made to be a powerful film. So that's The Exorcist, back in 1973. It's a good one, very powerful, very frightening. Into then, I'll see you soon for some more reviews.